Hey guys, it is Raymond here from the Beginner Photography Podcast, and today we are wrapping up 2017, so let's get into it.
Welcome to the Beginner Photography Podcast with Raymond Hatfield, the podcast dedicated to interviewing world-class photographers to ask them the questions you want answered. Whether you want to be the world's best wedding photographer, family photographer, pet photographer, or you just want to take better photos of your kids growing up, we will get you to start taking better photos today. Here with you as always, husband, father, home brewer, LA Dodgers fan, and award-winning Indianapolis wedding photographer, Raymond Hatfield.
Oh man, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm Raymond, as always, your host of the Beginner Photography Podcast, and today we are wrapping up 2017. What does that mean? Well, I don't even know why I asked that question. It's kind of rhetorical, right? I mean, we're at the end of 2017. I guess kind of where I wanted to go with that was I did one of these last year to make 2017 your best year in photography, and I liked it enough that I want to do it again this year. So let's rewind a bit, huh? Let's go back to last year this time. So last year this time, I was urging everybody to just get out, keep shooting. You know, these are the important things about photography, and I still think that all of this is super important, but 2017, things are changing, right? You've been along, hopefully you've been on this journey with me, listening to the Beginner Photography Podcast for a while now. So maybe you're more advanced than just super beginner, right? So this is going to I think it's going to apply to everybody, but the people who have been trying to take photography seriously, the people who have been listening to this podcast for a while, are probably going to get the most out of this podcast. And I hope that that's you. I really do. So I know that you guys are going to really enjoy this podcast. In 2017, we did a lot, right? Let's take a quick recap. I know just personally in my own life, my wife and I moved to a new house. There was a little bit of a disrupt in the interviews that came out there for a while with switching to a new place, the electricity, getting rid of our old. It was a mess. Anyway, you guys can go back and listen to that episode if you want to. Point is, we moved. That was big for us. I launched a Facebook ad that really put my photography career in an entirely new direction. It really showed me where I want to take my business and how to make it sustainable and even more enjoyable, which was I mean, it was a godsend. It was great. But as far as the podcast goes, we did some things, right? So last year on the Year in Review podcast, I announced that we were going to do an Instagram photo a day challenge because I really wanted everybody to get out. First of all, I really wanted to build a sense of community. I wanted to make that very apparent. I really want people to come together and help each other out as photographers, because I will be the first person to tell you that even though I'm the host of this podcast and people look at me as though I'm some sort of like authority figure, I don't know everything about photography. And I will be the first to admit that. I don't know everything about photography. I wish that I did, and that's why I started this podcast. I didn't start it as a way for me to, show off my photography friends, to bring them on the podcast. It started as a way for me to learn more about photography. So whatever you're doing, don't look to me as some sort of expert in photography. Sure, I am, objectively good with a camera. My couple seem to like it. I'm a professional photographer. I've been doing this for quite a few years, and I really enjoy it. I feel like I'm starting to step into my own, but I don't know everything. So I don't want you guys to think that. I'm just one of you. So building a community was something that I really wanted to tackle in 2017, and that's why I started the idea of the Instagram Daily Challenge. And It only lasted till I think February, maybe the middle of February. I'd have to go back and look at my Instagram to confirm that, but it failed, and I'm kind of embarrassed by that. But it failed, well, obviously because of me. I was the reason why it failed, but I was really I was putting in so much effort into those photos. I feel like I was really just trying to reinvent the wheel, and it didn't need to be done. I was taking up so much like brain energy to try to come up with something witty or unique for these photos that it kind of became a chore, right? And that's not what I wanted at all. So I would take a day or two off, and then I would post another picture, and then the same thing would kind of happen. So I was just making it way too hard for myself. So this time I'm going to start another photo a day challenge, but this time in the Facebook group. And I promise that I won't take it too seriously, but you guys have to hold me accountable to this. And I want you to join because I want this community to be strong and powerful. I want this to be a place where you come and you can ask those questions. This isn't going to be hundreds of thousands of people. I don't want that. I don't want a podcast with hundreds of thousands of listeners. I want a dedicated group of people who want to learn and grow their photography. And it doesn't mean that it has to be business related, but just people who want to become better photographers and enjoy photography more than what they already do, by becoming more proficient in it. So that is why I think it's so important to do a photo a day challenge. And I really hope that you join me this year. I will be posting a photo. You better check it out. So seriously, hold me accountable and I will hold you accountable. Let's take better photos this year. What do you say? So I'm excited for that. Obviously, like I said, there's a lot of growth for the podcast because the whole Instagram thing. I kind of just let that fall apart. I started a Facebook group for listeners just like yourself, and wow, man, it has been a place where people share ideas and they ask for help, and it is turning into that community. And what I love most is that you can become friends with these people, like behind the scenes. On Instagram, you can see their photos, but rarely do, well, I take that back. Rarely do the people that I follow post photos of themselves on Instagram. It's always of their life, which can be really interesting, but the person behind the camera sometimes gets kind of mysterious. And Facebook eliminates that blurred line, which is awesome. So it's been really fun to join that community on Facebook. And if you want to join the Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook group, all you have to do is search in Facebook for Beginner Photography Podcast. And you'll find the group and the regular page right there. And then on the regular page, there's a link somewhere to the group. All you have to do is just click it and request to join. You just got to answer 2 simple questions, and then you're in. And that is where I'm going to be hosting the photo challenge. So if you want to participate, come and join the group. What else did we do? We launched a free video course. This one was huge for me. A free video course called Beyond Photography Basics, 14 Days to Better Photos, which can be found on the website. And fellow listeners just like you have been finding it incredibly helpful, which really makes it all worth it to me, which is what I really love to do. In fact, I was going to go on and on about it right now, but I'm just going to read this email that I got from Brian in New Mexico. And Brian took the course, and he sent me this email, and I thought that it was just, hopefully you feel the same way about the course. It says, "Hey Raymond, I just finished the course, and all I can say is thank you. My girlfriend got me a Canon T6i for my birthday 2 months ago, and I can't put it down. I have ADHD and can lose interest in things quick. So keeping the video short and getting a new email every day with the new video in it was perfect for me. I already can't believe how much better my photos have got. You rock, dude, Brian." You know what, Brian? You rock. Thank you so much for that email. The amount of time that I put into creating that, not only the videos, but the emails and getting it all sequenced up so that when somebody signs in or signs up for it, then they start learning right away, was a lot. And that is what I did it for. I want to help you become a better photographer today. So I'm so glad that you got a lot of value out of that course. And if you're listening and you have not signed up for the course Beyond Photography Basics, 14 Days to Better Photos, then you can head over to beginnerphotographypodcast.com right now. And you can sign up yourself by just clicking the link at the top of the page. And that is it. So again, I really hope to see you there. Last year, I did a how you're going to make 2017 your best year ever. And I shared 5 tips, okay? And those 5 tips still totally resonate to today. But now, for 2018, I have 5 new tips. And it's really going to help if you listened back. Actually, it doesn't really matter. I was going to say that if you've taken the steps to listen to the podcast and hopefully grow and learn something, then this is going to complement your education. So the first thing that I want you to do in 2018 is, in 2017, you started learning how to use the camera, use it for light and change angles and just take better photos. So in 2018, I really want you to share your photos. I know that sharing your photos can be scary, seriously, especially in the beginning. There's this imposter syndrome that a lot of people have. They feel like, I just got this camera a month ago and I already took like a really good picture. I know that I'm not a photographer, but if I share this and it looks professional, I don't want people to think that I'm trying to fake being a photographer, that I'm trying to be something that I'm not. So a lot of times beginners just don't share their photos, and that is not what you should be doing. You should be sharing these photos. If not for anybody else, do it for yourself. Seriously, because whether it's through Facebook or Instagram, you're going to have documentation of those photos that you took. I cannot tell you how many times I've thought of a photo that I took in my head back when I first started, and I just don't have it anymore. I just don't. And I wish that I had some sort of system like a Facebook or an Instagram or just some sort of other social platform, or even just Google Photos, which you can just download for free on your phone and it just backs up all your photos. I wish that I had something like that to catalog everything. But I don't. So in 2018, I don't want you to make the same mistake I did. I want you to share your photos. I guarantee that somebody will like your photos. If it's nature, people think that it's serene, right? And think that it's very like calming. If it's your family, share it with other family. They are going to enjoy it as well. A lot of times, I can't tell you how many times my mom has texted me and thanked me for sharing photos on Facebook, because she lives out in Arizona. I live here in Indiana. She doesn't get to see the kids as often as she would like. So just seeing these little quips, is that the right word? It doesn't matter. These little windows into our life where she can see our children growing up is huge for her. So I don't want you to miss out on that. Share your photos. That's it. Nobody's going to be rude, I promise. Just share your photos. The number two thing that I want you to do in 2018, now that you have the basics down in photography, is I want you to experiment more. I want you to get out there and I want you to try new things. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to, next time you're grocery shopping or next time you're at, wherever they sell magazines, pick up any magazine. It doesn't even matter. Photo magazine, hunting biking magazine, fashion magazine, it doesn't matter, whatever. Pick one up and then just go through it and really look at the photos. No, I take that back. Flip to a random page and look at one of the photos on that page. It doesn't matter like what it is that the photo is of, or if you even care about that photo. Just look at it and really study it. Think about it. Think about how the photographer was positioned. Were they crouching down? Were they on a ladder? Was this out of a helicopter? How did they get the shot? How did the photographer compose this shot? Okay, think about that. Next, look at the lighting. Think about the lighting. Is there only the sun? Is this photo completely lit by the sun? Is there a flash? Is there some sort of long exposure with crazy like sparkler trails and stuff like that? Really look at it. And this one can be hard, so I understand, because a lot of times it's not obvious when flash is used as it's trying to balance out. So just be aware of it. Just try to look at it. So I want you to experiment, right? Find a photo that you like and just think about it. Think, how would I get this photo? How would I get this photo? And then go out there and try something similar. Did they use flash? Flash is crazy cheap. Crazy cheap. You can get one on Amazon for like $70 or something like that. And okay, I get it. Like, you're just starting off, $70 for a flash may seem kind of expensive when your camera already takes good photos. But I'm telling you, I was so excited when I first started to get a flash for $300. Like, I was like, this is a great deal. I'm so excited. I'm a pro. And it was the most garbage flash ever. Like, I don't use it today. You can get one for $70 and it can transform your photos because photography is light. So if you have a flash and you are controlling your light, that's a new element of photography that's going to take it to the next level. So experiment with that. Experiment with using a wide lens, right? Meaning, if you're using about 18 millimeters, right, on your lens, super wide, get as wide as you can. And then just getting really close to things. See how close you can get to things without them being distorted on the edges of the frame. See how close you can get to people without them feeling really awkward. See how close you can get to your subject and feel like you're there. Get a photo that feels like you're in it right there. Try something like that. Or maybe you just want to use long lenses. I'm telling you, this, like, for the past 4 months, I have used almost nothing but my 85 millimeter lens, which is unheard of for me. I love wide photos. I love wide shots. I use my 35 millimeter all the time. I love it. But for the past 3 or 4 months, I've been using nothing but my 85, and it has just like, whoa, flipped my photography around in just the way that my brain works. And it's really exciting. So I encourage you to try something like that. Just use a long lens. And just maybe now you have to step back. Use something more than 85 millimeters, right? 85 millimeters or longer. Now you have to step back. Now you have to find interesting compositions. How do you introduce other elements into the frame? Try something. Just get out there and experiment because you don't know what you're going to love or hate until you do it. Love. Let's just say love. You're not going to know what you're going to love until you try it. And don't be afraid to keep trying either. Don't just give up. Okay. Number 3. The number 3 thing that I want you to do in 2018 is to be the dumbest person in the room, wherever you go. Yeah. So what this means is that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're not going to learn anything. You have nothing to learn. I want you to surround yourself by people who are maybe in a position where you want to be or know something that you want to know. And I guess I'm talking about photography here. I kind of skipped over that part. So I want you to get out and I want you to be social. I want you to meet with other photographers. And as a photographer, I can tell you that I've been to situations like this, like networking, or like, just like little meetups for photographers, and it's not scary. It's scary at first because, like, I'm an introvert and I don't know how to introduce myself to people, so I just kind of stand in the corner. But once, like, I'm there and I'm enjoying myself, then it becomes so easy. And very, very rarely is there any sort of ego. There's never somebody like, oh, you have a Canon, T4i that came out 6 years ago. What are you doing here? There's never any of that, right? At least I haven't experienced it. I haven't. I've seen people, comment on, lenses or whatever, but screw it. Like, honestly, forget that. You're not on the same journey that they are. You're on a completely different path, and you're doing it your way. This is how you learn. I kind of feel like I just made that whole thing into a negative. I really want. Point is that when you go to these things, they're fun and they're enjoyable. And you surround yourself by other creatives who want to make things like you, and that can be very powerful for your photography. So you can, if you don't know any other photographers, which I doubt, you probably know somebody with a camera and enjoys taking photos. Maybe start there. If you know a person, start there. Just go out and be like, hey, you want to go out and photograph the park or something like that? Just try something new. And just get out. Make it super easy. And if you don't know anybody who is into photography or has a camera, which I doubt, there are still plenty of ways for you to meet other photographers. And one of my favorite is meetup.com. And this sounds like a dating website, but I promise you it's not. Meetup.com is people go and you can meet up with people who are interested in, building businesses, or you can meet up with people who are interested in hiking, or you can meet up with other people who are interested in whatever you're interested. And the great thing is that if there's not a group there that you find fitting, you can create that group yourself. You can create the East Iowa Birdwatchers photography club, night photography club. Whoa. Like, you can do that. People will join. I promise you. There's a lot of people on meetup.com who are interested in the same things that you are. And if you don't find it, just create it. And I guarantee that you're gonna find somebody there. You can also use Instagram. Look for Insta Meets, which I can't say that I don't think I've attended an Insta Meet. Anyway, you can find Insta Meets. Just search for hashtags for your near location. Usually, one of the bigger metropolitan areas that's close to you. That'll be a good starting place. And then last is just local Facebook groups. I'm sure that you can type in, for me, it'd be like, I don't know, Indianapolis Photography Club, and something would pop up, right? Or Indianapolis Photographer, just start typing in something and you'll get a suggestion right there, and just go for it. Go for it from there. Join the group, and especially if it's on Facebook, you can comment on people's posts and become friends before you actually meet in person, so that when you meet in person, it's a whole lot easier, and of course I'm talking to my fellow introverts here. If you're an extrovert, then maybe you don't have a problem with that. But the point is that being surrounded by people who know or who have been doing something that you want to do, being surrounded by people who are more experienced in something that you want to be good at is so important, and such a great way to propel your skills and knowledge as a photographer. So going to these things is huge. And if you plan on starting a business or taking photography more seriously later on, then there's going to be people there who, when you're networking, can help out later on. You never know. You never know who you're going to meet. Okay, so number 4. Number 4 is, let me take a drink of tea first. I know you're waiting for this one. This one's my favorite too, but you're not going to believe it. Okay, hold on. Oh, I got that Earl Grey. Okay. Oh no. English breakfast. Okay. Number 4. My number 4 thing that you were going to do in 2018 is you're not going to buy any more gear. You're not going to do it. You're not going to buy any more gear this year. Okay, I understand. Wait, hold up. Before you come at me with the pitchforks, if you need something like a memory card or batteries, whatever, get that. If you need a camera bag, whatever, get that. Get whatever it's going to take to make photography more accessible for you. But when it comes to buying a lens or a camera, I don't want you to spend any money in 2018. This sounds crazy, I understand. But here's the thing. Like I said, these past 4 months, with me just using my 85, and again, I haven't been using it exclusively, but I've had my 85 for a long time, and I feel like it just wasn't getting the use out of it that would justify the cost, I suppose. But this past 4 months of just, it started out a necessity. Honestly, I was at a wedding that was, the wedding, I think that I was 100% of the wedding budget. And it was very flattering that this couple wanted me to shoot their wedding. However, the location that the wedding was at was not traditionally beautiful. So what I'm saying is that I couldn't just phone this one in, right? Sometimes you show up to this beautiful Greek Orthodox church, and the venue is like one of the top rated, and it's gorgeous, and you can just like snap away, and whatever photo that you get is going to be gorgeous. But this wedding wasn't like that, and I'm not saying this like in any sort of derogatory sense or place of entitlement, like, oh, it was just garbage, because it wasn't. What I'm saying is that I had to work harder, and that the expectation that was placed on me to capture great photos was still there, even though I wasn't given a full deck of cards, if you know what I mean. So what I did was I just put on my 85 millimeter, and when you have that 85 millimeter, you cut out the crap. You don't get the wide shots. You don't get the box of random stuff laying over here. You don't get this poor neighborhood, not poor neighborhood, but this kind of gloomy neighborhood that you're in. You don't get those things, right? When you have the 85, you are locked in on whoever and whatever you are shooting. And suddenly just making quick adjustments in your composition can really elevate the quality of the photo. And I'm telling you, at this wedding, I didn't take a single shot with my 35 millimeter lens. Not a single shot. The entire thing was shot on an 85. Close-ups, everything was shot on this 85. And that was so that I could not distract people from the surroundings, so that I could just focus on whatever I was taking a photo of. And it really made me think about the gear that I buy, right? Because suddenly this one lens saved my ass completely. And I had it in my tool for a long time. And I wouldn't use it. Like, looking back at photos, I should have used the 85 instead of the 35, but I didn't. And now I have a new appreciation for this 85. Now that I've spent time with it, now that I know it, now that we're good friends, we're working on BFFs. We're getting there, but it's going to take some time. So I'm making the promise to myself that in 2018, I'm not buying another piece of gear. I'm not buying a lens. I'm not buying a new camera body. I don't care if a new camera body comes out. I'm sticking with the ones that I got, and I'm going to master them. Now, there is a bit of a caveat. I have equipment that can work in my business, okay? Maybe you don't, okay? And I understand, and you need to make that investment, and that's okay, right? If you're making the investment to better your business, then that's okay. But it's a fine line. My point, just don't do it. Just don't buy any new gear in 2018. Use what you have and master it. Become the best that you can. If all you have is a stock lens, become the best photographer using a stock lens that comes with your camera. Every time somebody looks at one of your photos, just blow them away. Figure out how to use it. Because it's what's called a slow lens. It means that it has a very slow aperture. Starts at 3.5 and goes all the way up to 5.6. Instead of the traditional, I would say pro grade lenses start at 2.8, and it's a consistent aperture all the way across. So the stock lens has a lot of limitations, okay? But if you get really close to your subjects, you're going to be able to blur out your background. If you change your perspective, you're not just going to be taking snapshots, you're going to be taking photographs, and you're only going to be able to learn that by doing. And do that with the gear that you have. It's going to save you a ton of money, and it's going to make you a better photographer, I promise. So do that for me, okay? I'm not going to buy any gear if you don't buy any gear. Okay. This brings me to our last tip. Oh, I just cracked my knuckles. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes I don't remember that I'm recording this for people to listen. Anyway, is that weird? Does that mean that I just think that I'm sitting here talking to myself? Would I crack my knuckles if I was in front of somebody else? I don't know. I guess I don't think of those things. Now I'm just sitting here talking to myself. I apologize. Okay. Number 5. The number 5 thing that I want you to do in 2018 is I want you to print your photos. Printing your photos is fun. Okay? That's what this does for you. It's fun. I recently read an article that was saying that millennials are the first generation that aren't going to value photographs because we don't get them printed. The article was from the perspective of a woman who, I believe that she was in her 30s. She had a young child, a daughter, and she went home for the holidays. And one of their traditions was that they just go through old family books, like like photo books, photo albums. I don't know why I lost that word there. Anyway, they go through these old photo albums and they laugh about fun times that they had growing up. And hey, grandma, who was this? Or wow, like grandpa, you were a stud when you were, in high school or whatever. And the daughter said something like, hey mom, where's my photo album from like me growing up? And she was like, oh, I guess we don't have one. We have a lot of photos on our phones, but nothing printed out. And that was really like a pivotal moment. And it's something that I've experienced in my past, just losing photos. And I see the value of it. So I haven't had to go through anything as intense, I suppose. But printing your photos makes them real. We take more photos every year than we have, as humans, have ever taken in the past combined. Just think about that for a second. That is nuts. Every year, ever, up until this last year, we've taken more photos in 2017. That's just crazy to think about. And yet we're printing so many less photographs than we have ever done before. I just hate to think about that. I really do. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Every year, I make a photo album of my family's photos, of just photos that I've taken with my iPhone, right? I take a photo with my phone. It gets uploaded to iPhotos or Photos or whatever the app is. And then in December, every year, I go through and I just go through the year and pick out some of my favorite photos, like 30 or 40 photos from each month. And then I build an album out of it. And I cannot tell you the joy that my children get by looking at these photos. Like, hey, I remember that. Hey, that was the day that I ate an entire chocolate cake to myself. Like, yeah, you're right, buddy. That was the day. Like, that's awesome. You rock. High five, And he loves seeing himself. He loves seeing himself as a younger version of himself. He's 5 years old now, so that's still a very weird thing. And for me, it's a memory. How do I put this? For me, photos take me back to a spot right away. I look at a photo and I'm there. In my head, I remember exactly what I smelled. I remember how I felt. I remember the few seconds before that. I remember the fake laugh that I put on during the photo, and then I remember the few seconds after that. And suddenly I'm back there. Like in my brain, I'm there. I can feel the synapses and the neurons going off in my head, like beep 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 beep, beep, like woo. And it's cool for me. I enjoy that. Especially now as I get older, and as a human, you don't really see yourself changing, I guess, over time. But when you look back at a photo of yourself from 5 years ago or from 10 years ago, holy cow, you're an entirely different person. And having that in print just brings that front and center to your life. So again, I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for you. There's super easy ways to go about this. If you want to print your photos, one of them, Canon makes what's called a selfie printer. SELPHY, I believe, selfie printer. And it can be had on Amazon for like, I don't know, 60 or 70 bucks. And it comes with photos. And it is super fast. It's easy. It's wireless. You can print to it from any smartphone if you just want to go, every once in a while. Or I do this, like I'll print up a few photos and then send them, like, put them in postcards, send them out to my mom, send them to my grandma, just so that they can keep updated. Especially my grandma, she doesn't have Wi-Fi, she doesn't even have a computer, so there's no way to share photos with her unless it's printed. And she's getting older now, and she lives in California. It's just hard. It's just hard to keep up. So that's what I do for her, and it's really valuable, right? Because suddenly now she's going from never seeing her grandchildren. She's never seen our daughter. She's seen our son once, and that was 3 years ago, right? And it's her son's son. So like it's a big deal for her. So seeing them be able to grow up through printed photographs has been huge for her. And I enjoy doing that. But it does take a little work. I get it. Like you gotta find the time, you gotta find the photos on your phone, then you gotta print them. It doesn't take a lot of time, but I'll entertain that idea. The next thing that I am excited to try, I can't say that I've tried this. So take this next recommendation with a grain of salt, because last thing I want to do is recommend anything that I don't believe in. But I haven't tried this. However, I've read all the reviews, which are wonderful, and it's for something called chat books. And I first saw a commercial for it, actually. And what it is you can set it up in a few different ways. You can link your Instagram up to it or your Facebook up to it. And every, 30 or 40 photos that you post, it will automatically make you a printed book, and send it right to you right away, right? If you post a photo every day, that's 2 months worth of photos. If you post a photo once every other day, that's 4 months worth of photos. This thing might be a bi-yearly yearbook or yearly yearbook, depending on how much you actually post to social media, of your life. And it's like $10. It's super, super, super cheap, which is awesome. They also have in their app, I haven't used it. So please take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt. Just remember that. You can also upload photos from like your phone, like your camera roll. You can just pick that one, and that one, and then just print as many books as you want, like right away. And you can have multiple sent to people. But the point is that, and again, apparently it's super easy and it's cheap. It's like $10. Having that sent to your house, holding it in your hands, man, that is powerful. It is so cool. I can't tell you how much time I put into designing our family yearbooks every single year. And when we get them, I'm still so excited to look at them. I cannot imagine how cool it would be to just be like, yeah, that one, and that one, and then just upload them, and then let the computer do its thing, and then it'd be done. It would save me a ton of time, and you could just hold it in your hands, like it's a thing. You drop your phone in a toilet, don't worry, you still got those photos. Don't worry about it. Print your photos. That's all that I'm trying to say here, is just print your photos. Keep a record, if anything else. So that is it. Guys, that is my 5 tips to making 2018 an awesome year for your photography. I want you to, number 1, you're going to share your photos. You're going to post them on social media. You are going to be vulnerable and put yourself out there by sharing your photos. And hopefully you're going to find somebody who loves them as much as you do. And if not, screw them. Number 2, you're going to experiment more. You're going to look at some photos. You're going to wonder how they did that. And then you're going to go out and you're going to try it yourself. Whether it's using Flash or just changing your perspective or, whatever it is. You're going to experiment more. Number 3 is you're going to be the dumbest person in the room by hanging out with smarter, more experienced photographers. Because when you do that, you are going to grow your skills as a photographer. And again, I highly recommend meetup.com. Number 4, you're not going to buy any new gear in 2018. You're going to stick with what you have and you are going to rock it. You are going to master it like there's no tomorrow. You are going to make people look at your photos and think, well, holy cow, how did you do that? And it's because you spent the time perfecting your craft with your gear. And lastly, you're going to print your photos so that you can preserve them, so that you can save them, so that, what's weird is that photos kind of become like a talking piece. So strange these days. We went over to our friend's house, my wife and I, for Friendsgiving, and they had a photo on their mantelpiece, and it was only the one, now that I think about it. And everybody kept commenting on it. And not because it was like a particularly amazing photo or like they weren't at Disneyland, like there didn't seem to be a story behind it, but it just seemed to be the fact that there was a printed photo in their house that immediately became a talking point. Think about that for a second. It's really powerful. So guys, I want you to get out there and I want you to do all of these things, all of them at once. Just do it right away, right now. Become a completely different photographer. No, I'm just kidding. I know that it's going to take time to implement these things, but it's going to be worth it. And wow, I've been talking to you for 39 minutes now. That's crazy. By myself. How weird is that? Like I'm in a room by myself just talking. Anyway. And I want you to share your photos as well. And if you're, of course, that's number one. If you're going to share your photos, share them on Instagram. Let us see them. I want to be friends with you on Instagram. Again, it's username Beginner Photo Podcast. And I also want you to join the Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook group so that you can ask any and all questions that you have about photography and just becoming a better photographer and hopefully human in the process. So if you guys have any questions for me or have any questions for me, just go ahead and shoot me an email at beginnerphotographypodcast@gmail.com. Or again, I am in the Facebook group as well. If you want to join, just search Beginner Photography Podcast in Facebook. All right, guys, that is it. I really hope that you guys had a great 2017. I know that 2018 is going to be a year of growth, as it always should be, and I'm very optimistic about 2018. I said 2017. It's like I'm in school again. Anyway, 2018, and I hope that you are as well. And that's it for today. Guys, I will talk to you next year. Get out there, have fun, shoot, enjoy, and share your photos. All right.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Beginner Photography Podcast. Be sure to join the conversations on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want any links or resources we talked about in today's episode, check out the show notes at beginnerphotographypodcast.com. See you again next week.